Here's a number that most Americans do not think about very often: $1,500 a month. In the United States, that number does not go very far. In most cities, it barely covers rent. In some cities, it does not cover rent at all. You are not eating out, you are not saving anything, you are not traveling, you are just getting by, if that. Now here's what that same $1,500 buys you in the right country: a furnished apartment in a walkable neighborhood, 3 meals a day, most of them at restaurants, a housekeeper who comes twice a week, weekend trips, health insurance, a gym membership, taxis whenever you want them, and money left over at the end of the month. That is not a fantasy. That is not a sales pitch from a relocation company trying to get your business. Those are the actual reported monthly budgets of American expats living in the 5 countries I am going to walk through today. People who move there, who actually live there, and who have documented what their money buys. The concept has a name in economics: purchasing power parity. It describes the fact that a dollar does not buy the same thing everywhere. In the United States, a dollar is a dollar. In some parts of the world, that same dollar buys 3 or 4 times as much in real terms. The same quality of food, the same quality of healthcare, the same quality of shelter, for a fraction of the price. The 5 countries on this list represent the best available combinations of that purchasing power advantage with actual livability: safety, infrastructure, English accessibility, and a quality of life that does not feel like a compromise. I'm going to walk through each one the same way. What the money actually buys, where people live, what a realistic monthly budget looks like broken down by category, what the healthcare situation is on the ground, and what your life actually feels like day to day. I am saving my top pick for the end, the one country where the gap between what $1,500 costs and what it buys is so wide that most Americans who move there say they feel genuinely wealthy for the first time in their lives. Country number 1, Portugal. Portugal has been at the top of every expat list for the better part of a decade, and the reason is not that it is cheap in the way that some developing country is cheap. Portugal is a Western European country with Western European infrastructure, Western European healthcare, and Western European safety. The reason it makes this list is that it is dramatically cheaper than any comparable country in Western Europe, and dramatically cheaper than the United States for the same quality of life. Let me put some numbers on that. In Lisbon, the capital, a 1-bedroom apartment in a good central neighborhood rents for $800 to $1,200 a month. Outside the capital, in cities like Porto or Braga or the Algarve coast, comparable apartments run $600 to $900. The Algarve, in particular, the southern coast with its famous cliffs and beaches, has become one of the most popular retirement destinations in Europe. You can rent a 1-bedroom in a beach town there for $700 to $900 a month and walk to the ocean in 5 minutes. On a $1,500 budget in Portugal, here's what the math looks like. Rent in a mid-tier city, $700. Groceries for the month, $200. Dining out regularly, including wine, $250. Utilities and internet, $80. Local transport, $50. Health insurance, $100. Personal expenses and entertainment, $120. That adds up to exactly $1,500, and that is a life that includes eating at restaurants several times a week, drinking some of the best wine in Europe for $4 a bottle at a grocery store, and living in a country that consistently ranks as one of the safest in the world. The food is genuinely excellent and genuinely cheap. A full dinner with wine at a local restaurant costs $12 to $20 per person. A pastry and coffee at a cafe costs $2. Fresh seafood, sardines, bacalhau, grilled fish, is available everywhere at prices that would make an American fish market blush. The Portuguese diet is Mediterranean, which means olive oil, vegetables, legumes, fish, and wine. All cheap, all high quality, all deeply embedded in the local culture. Healthcare in Portugal includes a national health system that legal residents can access, and private health insurance that covers a comprehensive package runs $80 to $150 a month for most expats. Private clinics in Lisbon and Porto are modern, fast, and staffed with English-speaking doctors. The one honest caveat about Portugal, it is getting more expensive. Lisbon in particular has seen significant price increases over the last 5 years, as it has become one of the most sought-after expat destinations in the world. The city is still cheaper than Paris or London or Amsterdam, but it is no longer the bargain it once was. If you want the true Portugal value proposition, go to Porto, go to the Algarve, go to the interior cities that have not yet been discovered by the influx of international money. Country number 2, Thailand. Thailand operates in a completely different price universe than the United States, and the gap is larger than most Americans expect until they actually see their first month's expenses. The anchor city for most American expats in Thailand is Chiang Mai, a city in the northern mountains that has been the unofficial capital of affordable expat life in Southeast Asia for over a decade. It is not a beach destination. It is a city of temples, night markets, world-class street food, and a thriving international community, surrounded by mountains and rice fields, at an elevation that keeps it cooler than Bangkok. The cost of living there is remarkable. A one-bedroom apartment in a good neighborhood in Chiang Mai runs $300 to $600 a month. For $600, you are getting something with a pool, a gym, and air conditioning. For $400, you are getting something entirely comfortable and clean in a central location. Eating out in Chiang Mai is so cheap that many expats simply stop cooking at home. A bowl of noodle soup from a street stall costs $1. A full meal at a local Thai restaurant costs $2 to $4. A meal at a mid-range international restaurant costs $8 to $15. You can eat 3 full meals a day at local restaurants for $10 to $15 total. On a $1,500 budget in Chiang Mai, you are not living modestly. You are living well. Rent, $500 for a nice one-bedroom with amenities. Food, eating out for virtually every meal, $250. Scooter rental or local transport, $60. Health insurance, $80. Utilities and fast internet, $50. Gym membership, $25. Massages, professional Thai massages at $7 to $10 per session, $60. Personal expenses and entertainment, $100. Monthly travel within Thailand and to neighboring countries, $200. That is $1,325, and you still have $175 left over. The healthcare situation in Thailand is one of the genuine surprises for American expats. Bangkok's private hospital network, hospitals like Bumrungrad International, Bangkok Hospital, and Samadhi, are internationally accredited, have English-speaking staff throughout, and provide care at 50 to 80% less than equivalent U.S. prices. A specialist consultation costs $30 to $60. A full blood panel costs $40. Dental work that would cost $2,000 in the U.S. costs $300 to $500 in Thailand at a quality private clinic. The honest caveat for Thailand: visa logistics require some attention. Americans can stay in Thailand for 60 days on arrival, then extend for another 30 days at an immigration office. For longer stays, the Thailand long-term resident visa, introduced specifically to attract retirees and remote workers, allows a 10-year stay for qualifying applicants. Alternatively, a retirement visa requires proof of $25,000 in a Thai bank account or $2,500 per month in income. These are manageable thresholds, but they are real requirements that need planning. Country number 3, Mexico. Mexico has been on every expat list for decades, and it belongs here because the combination of proximity, English accessibility, established expat infrastructure, and purchasing power advantage is unmatched anywhere else in the world for Americans. You do not have to go far in Mexico to feel the financial difference. An hour's flight from the US border and your $1,500 has a fundamentally different relationship with the world around it. The specific cities that consistently produce the best expat value stories are Mérida in the Yucatan, Oaxaca City in the south, Ajijic on Lake Chapala in Jalisco, and Puerto Vallarta on the Pacific coast. Mérida is the one I hear about most from American expats who have genuinely restructured their financial lives. It is a colonial city with wide boulevards, incredible food, a walkable historic center, and an established American community. A one-bedroom apartment in a good neighborhood runs $400 to $700 a month. Fully furnished, utilities included, often with a pool in the building. A meal at a local restaurant costs $4 to $8. A meal at one of the city's excellent upscale restaurants, Mérida has a food scene that punches well above its weight, costs $15 to $25. On a $1,500 budget in Mérida, the breakdown looks like this. Rent, $550. Groceries and dining out, $300. Utilities and internet, $60. Local transport, $40. Health insurance or out-of-pocket medical costs, $100. Full-time housekeeper who comes 3 times a week, $120. Personal expenses and entertainment, $150. Weekend trips to the Yucatan coast or nearby ruins, $180. Total, $1,500. And that budget includes things that would cost 3 to 4 times as much in the United States, or that most Americans in the U.S. simply cannot afford at all. The full-time housekeeper line item deserves a mention because it consistently surprises Americans who move to Mexico. For $100 to $150 a month, you can have someone who comes to your home multiple times a week, cleans everything, does laundry, and in some cases cooks. For most American households, This is not a luxury they can afford at home. In Mérida, it is simply a normal part of how middle-class life works. Healthcare in Mexico is good to excellent depending on location. In major cities like Guadalajara, Mexico City, and Mérida, private clinics are modern and staffed with well-trained doctors. A general practitioner visit costs $25 to $40. Many medications that require a prescription in the US are available over the counter in Mexico at a fraction of the price. Dental care is exceptional value. Americans regularly cross the border specifically for dental work. A full set of dental implants that cost $40,000 in the US costs $8,000 to $12,000 in Mexico at a reputable clinic. Country number 4, Georgia. Georgia earned the top spot on the previous Freedom Latitude video for its visa terms, and it earns a spot on this list for its purchasing power, because the combination of the two makes it one of the most compelling arguments for leaving the United States that currently exists anywhere in the world. The capital, Tbilisi, is an ancient city with a modern core. A walkable, cafe-saturated, culturally dense place where the cost of living has not yet caught up with the quality. A one-bedroom apartment in a central neighborhood runs $450 to $800 a month. The food is exceptional. Georgian cuisine is one of the world's great underrated culinary traditions, and it is cheap. A full meal at a traditional Georgian restaurant costs $6 to $12 per person, including wine. A bottle of Georgian wine at a restaurant costs $5 to $10. Groceries for the month run $150 to $200 for a single person cooking regularly. On a $1,500 budget in Tbilisi, the math is genuinely striking. Rent, $600. Food and dining out regularly, $300. Utilities and fast internet, $60. Local transport including taxis, $50. Health insurance, $60. Personal expenses, $100. Weekend trips within Georgia. The Caucasus Mountains are 2 hours away. The Black Sea coast is $200. Entertainment, wine, culture, $130. Total, $1,500. And you are living in one of the most interesting cities in Europe, eating extraordinary food, drinking wine that has been produced here for 8,000 years, and exploring a country most of your friends back home have never even heard of. The healthcare system in Georgia has improved significantly over the last decade. Private clinics in Tbilisi are modern and accessible. A doctor visit at a private clinic costs $15 to $30. The country has a universal health coverage program that legal residents can access, though most expats opt for private insurance at $50 to $80 a month for comprehensive coverage. What makes Georgia particularly powerful in the context of this list is that the purchasing power advantage extends far beyond just rent and food. Taxis are cheap enough that most expats never bother with car ownership. A taxi across the city costs $3 to $5. A professional massage costs $15 to $25. A haircut costs $5. The entire texture of daily life reflects a cost structure that has not been inflated by the decade of American and Western European money pouring into more discovered expat destinations. Country number 5, Vietnam. And here is my top pick, the country where the gap between what $1,500 costs and what $1,500 buys is wider than almost anywhere else in the world where an American would actually want to live. Vietnam is a country of 97 million people, 3,000 kilometers of coastline, ancient cities, extraordinary food, and a cost of living that consistently produces the most dramatic financial transformations of any expat destination I have encountered. Americans who moved to Vietnam and who were previously struggling on $4,000 a month in the United States arrive and realize that $1,500 is more money than they need. The two primary expat cities are Da Nang on the central coast and Hoi An, a beautifully preserved ancient trading port 30 minutes from Da Nang. Da Nang is the practical choice, a modern city with beaches, good infrastructure, a growing international community, and costs that sit below almost every comparable city in Southeast Asia. Hoi An is the romantic choice, lantern-lit streets, tailor shops, ancient temples, and a pace of life that is deliberately, almost stubbornly slow. In Da Nang, a one-bedroom apartment runs $300 to $600 a month. In Hoi An, similar options start at $250. Eating in Vietnam is not just cheap. It is one of the great culinary experiences available at any price point in the world. Pho, banh mi, bun bo hue, fresh spring rolls, grilled seafood, ban seo. The food is extraordinary, and a full meal costs $1 to $3 at a local restaurant. A meal at a mid-range international restaurant costs $6 to $12. On a $1,500 budget in Da Nang, here's what a real monthly expense breakdown looks like based on expat reports. Rent, $450 for a comfortable one-bedroom near the beach. Food, eating out for most meals, $200. Scooter rental, $50. Health insurance, $60. Utilities and fiber internet, $40. Weekend trips to Hoi An, Hue, the mountains, $150. Massages and personal care, $60. Gym membership, $20. Entertainment and personal expenses, $150. Total, $1,180. That leaves $320 untouched at the end of the month, every month. Healthcare in Vietnam has improved substantially. In Da Nang and Ho Chi Minh City, private international clinics offer care that is competent, fast, and extremely affordable. A general practitioner visit costs $20 to $40 at a quality private clinic. Dental care is excellent value. The major caveat is that for serious medical issues, many expats travel to Bangkok, a 2-hour flight, where the hospital infrastructure is more comprehensive. For day-to-day care and routine issues, Vietnam's private clinics handle it well. The visa situation in Vietnam requires some planning. Americans currently get 45 days visa-free, extendable with an e-visa for up to 90 days. For longer stays, Vietnam's 1-year multiple entry visa is available and increasingly popular among long-term expats, though the process requires some paperwork. Vietnam does not have a formal retirement visa like Thailand or Panama, which means long-term residents navigate through a combination of business visas, investor visas, and the standard tourist extension system. But here's the thing about Vietnam that keeps coming up when you talk to Americans who have moved there. The lifestyle transformation is not just financial. The food quality is higher, the pace is more human, the community of expats who have self-selected into living there tends to be interesting, engaged people who made an intentional choice about how they wanted to live. And the daily experience of seeing your money go 3 or 4 times as far as it did at home has a psychological effect that is difficult to describe until you feel it yourself. So there it is, 5 countries where $1,500 a month does what $5,000 cannot do in most American cities. Portugal for Western European quality at a fraction of Western European prices. Thailand for the most extreme value-to-livability ratio in Southeast Asia. Mexico for proximity, familiarity, and a full-time housekeeper for what you used to spend on a car payment. Georgia for a 1-year visa-free entry and a cost of living that has not yet been discovered by mass expat money. And Vietnam, my top pick, for the widest gap between cost and quality of any destination where Americans are currently building real lives. The math is not complicated. The decision is what is hard. But the math is very, very clear. Which of these 5 had your attention? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. And if this is the kind of information you have been looking for, subscribe to Freedom Latitude. New video every week on how to live better, spend less, and stop waiting for permission. I am Miles with Freedom Latitude, the latitude to live on your terms.